Hi guys, hold on for a second. Before we proceed to the video, I have something very important to tell you. Professor John Vicofus has published his new book in collaboration with Little French Media, and the title of the book is Neoliberalism, Inequality, and Authoritarianism. This book details how neoliberalism impacts the geopolitical economy in the 21st century. You can buy it from Amazon, and the link is in the description. Thank you. Now let's proceed to the video.
Uh, Hello, everyone. Welcome to this brief session, an overview of a longer video, which I invite you to watch. It's a two-part session, by the way, on inequality and exploitation through history, from Plato to Martin Luther, which is the first part, and then from Thomas Müntzer to Friedrich Hayek and Milton Friedman of the United States from the University of Chicago. This is a topic that is obviously of universal importance throughout history. It is no secret, those of you who have studied history, regardless of what society, it doesn't matter, east or west, north or south, you know that within the social contract of a society, we have the makings of structural inequality. So this is what this video takes a look at, because the topic is so vast. And I'm a historian and, of course, international political economist, but I also studied, especially at the undergraduate level and somewhat at the graduate level, philosophy. I decided to choose a number of philosophers, from Plato to St. Augustine to St. Thomas Aquinas, and then theologians like Martin Luther and Thomas Müntzer. And then, of course, I went on to John Locke, also an English philosopher, and then modern economists in the 19th and 20th century. The topic of exploitation and inequality, it becomes especially interested. No one was interested in the issue, even at the theoretical level, of equality or necessarily social justice. I would say before the 18th century. The idea of the social contract is actually a 17th century idea. There are makings of that concept even before, but in the certainly by the time that English philosopher Thomas Hobbes, who lived during the English Civil War in the 1640s, wrote the Leviathan, the great work uh, decrying the bloodshed of the Civil War, the English Civil War in the 1640s. And then, of course, after that, John Locke, who wrote essentially against Thomas Hobbes, the Manifesto of Liberalism, John Locke being the father of Western liberalism, of course. So I take a look at all of those people, and all of them, by the way, none of them were interested in the issue of social justice and equality. There are very few exceptions in history. Sir Thomas More and also Thomas Müntzer. Sir Thomas More was an Englishman, Thomas Müntzer, German. In the nascent stage, in the embryonic stage of capitalism, did in their work, Sir Thomas More in Utopia, and Thomas Müntzer, of course, who's a rebel, a student of Martin Luther, who led the German Peasants' War. Both of them were interested in egalitarianism on this earth, not just in paradise and the next life for those who are deserving, spiritually pure and deserving of paradise. So, but the issue really becomes the question of equality and equal rights becomes much more important during the age of the Enlightenment, 18th century, with Paris the center of obviously the Enlightenment, but it spreads throughout the Western world. The ideals of the Enlightenment are the foundation of modern Western civilization, by the way. And at the theoretical level, they address that issue, except for one thing. That's the century that most of the transatlantic slave trade took place. The white Europeans were trading Africans across the Atlantic, from Africa to the so-called New World, in other words, the Western Hemisphere, and which is paradoxical in itself. I point out in this video that structural inequality and exploitation are indeed nothing to do, they have nothing to do with human nature, as many apologists of capitalism were arguing. Well, these people are poor because they're ignorant and they're lazy and they lack ambition and have other negative personality traits. It's their fault. It's their fault. Born into poverty is the fault of that baby. The parents of the baby who are poor, and so it goes. So it's cyclical. The fact is that poverty is man-made, exploitation is man-made, inequality is man-made. Policies account for inequality, for poverty, for structural exploitation. Policies result in such conditions, just as policies result in war rather than diplomatic solutions. That's also part of policy. I invite you to take a look at both of these videos. These are two videos that are deserving of your attention if you're interested in knowing more, deconstructing from a philosophical perspective, looking at some great philosophers, theologians, as well as leading economists of Western civilization on the issue of structural exploitation and inequality. I thank you for listening and watching this video. And by all means, take a look at both of those videos that I have done. And please join this channel. This is an educational channel managed by my good friend Asad Alim. There's a lot of material on here, and you will, in fact, be the better for it when you watch. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.